Tom lived trapped in that fragile border between innocence and an unease he couldn't yet name. He was an 11-year-old boy with curious eyes and restless hands, inhabiting a modest house in a neighborhood where time seemed to slip by with the slowness of shadows at dusk. Afternoons passed between street games and the murmur of the radio his mother left on in the kitchen. But within him burned a different spark, a need to unravel what the world hid beneath its everyday surface. That morning, in the primary school classroom, tedium enveloped him like a dense fog. The teacher's words faded into a monotonous hum, and his eyes almost instinctively drifted to the window. Outside, the schoolyard lay silent under a leaden sky. In the shadow of an ancient oak whose twisted branches seemed to whisper secrets to the wind, something broke the monotony. A small, crumpled paper rested on the damp grass, as if someone had deliberately abandoned it. Tom felt a shiver run down his neck, a pang of curiosity that called to him with a voice he couldn't ignore. He waited patiently, drumming his fingers on the desk, until the bells marked the end of the day. While his classmates scattered with laughter and shouts, he slipped into the yard with cautious steps, as if fearing to awaken something sleeping beneath the earth. The air smelled of recent rain, and the crunch of dry leaves under his sneakers echoed in the silence. He crouched beside the oak and took the paper between his trembling fingers. As he unfolded it, the world seemed to stop. It was an old photograph with worn edges and a yellowish tint that betrayed the passage of years. In it, a girl no older than 12 looked at him with dark, deep eyes, so alive they seemed to pierce through the paper. Her hair fell in disheveled locks over her shoulders, and a faint smile curved her lips, as if she held a secret she would never share. But what captivated him most was her gesture. She raised 2 fingers in a peace sign, a serenity that contrasted with the enigmatic atmosphere of the image. The photo was marked by time, stains of humidity, slight tears, but its presence was magnetic, almost hypnotic. Tom tucked it into the pocket of his jacket, feeling its weight as if he carried a fragment of another world. On the way home, under the dim light of the street lamps, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Who was she? How had that photo reached him? That night, as the rain battered the windows and the wind howled among the rooftops, he placed the image on his desk, next to a notebook full of doodles. He stared at it until his eyelids grew heavy, and in his mind, questions and fantasies mingled. Was he in love? At his age, he didn't know for sure, but what he felt was bigger than him, an obsession that grew like a shadow in his chest. He tried to seek answers. He showed the photo to his friends at recess, but only received mockery and indifferent shrugs. His mother, upon seeing it, frowned and muttered something about a lost photo before returning to her chores. No one seemed to understand. No one felt the same magnetism that consumed him. Day after day, the girl in the photo crept into his thoughts, into his dreams. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he swore. He could hear her voice, whispering in the distance, an echo calling from some unreachable place. One night, unable to sleep, Tom rose and approached his desk. The moon bathed the room in a silvery glow, and the photo seemed to shimmer under its light, as if it were alive. He rubbed his eyes, incredulous, but the sensation persisted. The edges of the image pulsed with a faint, almost supernatural glow. Then, peering out the window, his heart skipped a beat. There, on the deserted street, a silhouette walked beneath the rain. A girl in a white dress that fluttered in the breeze, identical to the one in the photograph. Without a second thought, he flung open the door and ran after her. The night's cold bit at his skin, and the sound of his footsteps echoed in the darkness. "Wait!" he shouted, but his voice was swallowed by the wind. When he reached the sidewalk, the figure had vanished, as if the air itself had consumed her. Panting, Tom looked around in desperation until his eyes fell on something in the middle of the street. Another crumpled paper, identical to the first. With his face lit by the trembling light of a street lamp, he crouched and picked it up. His hands shook as he unfolded it, eager for a clue, a truth to free him from this mystery. But before he could see the image, fate intervened with brutal force. A metallic roar tore through the night, and a vehicle emerged from the shadows, its blinding headlights like the eyes of a predator. The impact was instantaneous. Tom fell to the pavement, motionless, the photograph still clutched between his fingers. Amid the confusion and chaos, distant screams, the wail of approaching sirens, the driver leapt out and rushed to the motionless boy. Kneeling beside him, the man with trembling hands tried to pry the photograph from Tom's grasp, a symbol of both obsession and doom. Then, as he held the worn paper, his eyes met the girl's image. But this time, she was raising 3 fingers.